It was a cold and quiet night. John was driving home through the forest road. The trees stood tall on both sides, and the wind made strange sounds through the leaves. His headlights lit the path ahead. But everything else was dark. John was tired. He had just finished a long shift at work and only wanted to reach home. But suddenly, a bright blue light flashed in the sky. It was so strong that he had to stop the car. He stepped out, confused and a little afraid. The forest was now silent, too silent. That's when he saw her, a small girl, standing in the middle of the road. She looked about 7 years old. Her skin was pale, almost glowing, and her eyes were silver like the moon. She wore a strange silver dress, and her feet were bare. She didn't cry, didn't speak, just stared at John. "Hey there, are you lost?" John asked softly. The girl didn't reply. She tilted her head, watching him carefully. John looked around. There were no houses, no cars, no signs of other people. He didn't know what else to do. He opened his car door. "Come with me. I'll take you somewhere safe," he said. To his surprise, the girl slowly walked over and sat quietly in the passenger seat. As he drove, John kept looking at her. She didn't blink much, and she held a small glowing crystal in her hand. "Do you have a name?" he asked. She stayed silent, just staring out the window. When they reached John's house, she followed him inside. He gave her some food. But she didn't eat it. She just looked around, touching objects like she had never seen them before. Then she sat on the floor and began drawing shapes with her finger on the wooden boards. John watched her draw strange symbols, circles with lines, stars with dots. They looked almost ancient. He felt a strange chill in the air. Something was not normal. That night, as John tried to sleep, the lights in the hallway flickered. He heard soft humming, a tune that didn't sound human. He walked to the living room and found the girl standing near the window. Her eyes were closed, but objects around her were floating. The TV remote, a book, a lamp floating in the air like they were weightless. Then, as if she knew he was watching, the girl opened her eyes. Everything dropped to the ground with a loud crash. "I'm sorry," she whispered for the first time. John froze. "You can speak," he said in shock. She nodded slowly. "I try not to," she said. "They listen when I do." "Who listens?" he asked, walking closer, but she didn't answer. She just looked at him with sad eyes and said, "You are not like others." John didn't sleep much that night. His mind raced with questions. Who was this girl? Where did she come from? Why did she say someone was listening? The next morning, he called the police to report a missing child. They came, asked questions, took pictures, but they looked confused. "She doesn't match any report," one officer said. "Not in the state, not in the national database." They asked her questions, but she gave short or strange answers. "Where are your parents?" They asked. "Far," she said. "What's your name?" "I don't know what they called me." John decided to keep her for a few days while the police searched. He set up a bed for her in the guest room. At night, she would sit by the window and hum that same strange song. John started writing down the symbols she drew. Then something strange happened. One of the symbols she made was already carved under the wooden floor of his basement. He had never noticed it before. It was the same circle with lines she drew on day one, he showed it to her, and her eyes grew wide. "This is safe place," she whispered. "Safe from what?" he asked. She looked at the sky through the small window and whispered, "From them." The girl, whoever she was not just a lost child. John could feel it. Something about her was not from here, not from this world. He didn't know it. But taking her home that night had changed everything. The world he knew was about to become something else, because someone or something was still out there, looking for her. John woke up in the middle of the night, not because of a sound, but because of a feeling. Something was pulling at his chest, like a quiet alarm going off inside him. He got out of bed and walked to the hallway. The house was dark, but the air felt strange, heavy, warm, and almost electric. He followed the feeling until he reached the basement door. It was open. John had never left it open. He grabbed a flashlight and stepped down the wooden stairs. The light flickered, and the air felt colder with each step. As he reached the bottom, he saw Riva. She was sitting on the floor, barefoot, her eyes glowing faintly. She was tracing shapes with her finger across the basement floor. Symbols again, but this time, the floor itself started to glow. The same symbols were already there, hidden under dust and time. John froze. "Why are you down here?" he asked softly. Riva didn't look at him. "This place remembers," she whispered. "The floor remembers." "What do you mean?" John asked, walking closer. Riva placed her small hand on one glowing circle. In a flash, the entire basement was filled with blue light. John stumbled back, but Riva stood still, calm. Then the light faded. In the silence that followed, John saw something behind the wall, a hidden door made of metal. He had lived in this house for years and never noticed it before. John reached out and touched it. It was cold, but the metal slid open like it was waiting for him. Inside was a small room filled with strange machines, old tools, dusty wires, and in the center a silver cube. Floating in the air? "What is this place?" he whispered. Riva finally looked up at him. "This is where they watched," she said. "Who watched?" John asked, his voice shaking. Riva walked into the hidden room. She placed her hand on the cube, and suddenly, it lit up. A blue projection floated above a tan image of Earth, but there were red dots glowing across the globe. "They were looking for us," she said. "Others like me." John's eyes widened. "Others? There are more of you." Riva nodded. "I escaped, but others didn't," she said. "Some were taken underground. Some to the sky." She looked at him. "Serious now? Your grandfather. He built this place." John stepped back, shocked. "My grandfather? He was just a farmer." Riva shook her head slowly. "He was more," she said. "He worked with them, at first." Then she pointed to an old photo stuck to the wall. It was faded, but John recognized his grandfather. He was standing with two men in suits and behind them, a small alien child in a glass tube. Riva looked at the photo with sad eyes. "They thought they were helping, but they were hurting us." John felt cold all over. His family had a secret, hidden for generations beneath his feet. Now it was awake again, because of her. Riva stood silently, as if hearing something far away. "They're moving," she said. "Who?" "The ones who lost me," she replied. "They are coming again." John felt panic rising inside him. "Then we have to run." Riva shook her head. "No, this place was built to protect. We stay here, we find the rest." John looked at the cube again. He reached out and touched it. A small shock went through his hand. And suddenly, the projection zoomed in on a red dot, a place not far from their town. "A signal," Riva said. "Another one like me." John's mind was racing. His house had become a secret base, his guest a powerful being. And now, his past and future were tangled together. That night, as he sat alone in the basement, John knew things would never be normal again. He had adopted a lost alien girl, but now it was clear he had also adopted a war. John was fixing the fence when he noticed something strange. A white car was parked across the road. It hadn't been there before. Its windows were dark, and the engine was off. He stared at it for a moment, then looked back at the house. Riva was inside, painting stars on the living room wall. He had started homeschooling her, teaching her to speak more. She was learning fast, too fast. The next day, the car was back, same place. Same silence. John walked toward it, but it drove away slowly. No license plate, no sound, just dust in the air. That night, Riva stood by. The window again. She was whispering in a language John didn't understand. He asked her, "What are you saying?" She didn't answer, but her eyes were worried. "Do you know that car?" he asked. Riva nodded slowly. "They followed me before. In places like this." "Who are they?" John asked. She looked outside and whispered, "Hunters." John didn't sleep that night. He stayed near the window. Holding this strange cube from the basement, he didn't know how to use it, but it made him feel less alone. The next morning, a man came to the door. He wore a suit, smiled too much, and spoke with a calm voice. "Hello, sir. Sorry to bother you. I'm with a local survey team. We're checking homes in this area for radiation leaks." John raised an eyebrow. "Radiation? I've lived here for years. Never heard about that?" The man chuckled. "Ah, just a routine check. Mind if I come in for a moment?" Before John could reply, Riva walked into the hallway. Her silver eyes locked onto the man. She didn't speak, but her hands started to glow. Not brightly, just enough for John to notice. The man's smile faded. He looked at Riva for half a second long, then he turned back to John, still trying to smile. "Maybe I'll come back later," he said, stepping away quickly as soon as the door closed. Riva ran to John and said, "He's one of them." John's heart dropped. "What do they want?" "They want to take me back," she said. "To the lab." John's jaw tightened. "Then we're not staying here." Riva grabbed his hand. "Wait," she said. "We can't run forever. They will always find me." John looked at her. "Unsure, but what else can we do?" She thought for a moment, then said something he didn't expect. "We find the others later that night." They turned on the cube in the basement again. This time, Riva placed her hand on it and closed. Her eyes, the projection of the earth, returned. 3 red dots blinked nearby, but one of them was moving. "It's him," she said, "the man at the door." The dot was headed straight toward a nearby forest. "It's going to report me," Riva said. John felt fear rise in his chest, but also something else, anger. They had crossed a line. He had saved her, protected her, and now someone wanted to take her again. John picked up an old flashlight and his coat. "Where are you going?" Riva asked. "To follow him," he said. "I need to know who they are." Riva placed her hand on his chest. "You're not ready. They have machines, weapons. They don't care about rules." John looked into her glowing eyes. "Then it's time I stop caring too." He followed the man's trail into the woods. The car was parked near an old water tower. John stayed hidden in the trees, watching. The man was talking to something. No. Someone threw a black box. "I found her," he said. "She's active. And the host is stable." A voice crackled. "Back. Observe for now. Do not engage. Backup will arrive in 72 hours. Then he said something that chilled John's blood. "If she resists, terminate." John's hands tightened around the flashlight. He wanted to run at the man, scream, stop him. But instead, he turned back. He had to protect Riva, now more than ever. Back at home, Riva was waiting near the glowing cube. "They are coming, aren't they?" she asked. John nodded. "They want you gone." Riva looked up, calm and clear. "Then we show them I belong." John's phone stopped working. The lights in the house flickered again. But this time they didn't come back. Riva stood in the center of the room, her eyes closed, hands glowing bright blue, outside. The sky had turned darker than usual, like a storm without clouds. "I didn't do this," she said quietly. "Something is waking up." John looked out the window. There were no birds, no wind, no sound. Everything around the house had fallen into a deep silence. Then the cube in the basement lit up on its own. They rushed downstairs. The cube floated above its stand and spun faster and faster. Images, flash maps, stars, galaxies. Shapes that John didn't recognize. Then a beam of light shot from the cube toward the corner of the basement wall. The wall cracked open slowly, revealing a tunnel. It led downward. Into darkness, Riva stepped forward without fear. "This was meant to be found," she whispered. "He built it for you." "Who?" John asked. Riva looked at him. "Serious? Your grandfather?" They moved through the tunnel, with only Riva's glow lighting the way. After what felt like hours, they reached a vast underground cave. It was full of tall crystals, glowing softly in colors John had never seen. In the center stood a stone platform with a ring of floating stones above it. "It's a portal," Riva said. "But only part of one." John stared at it, speechless. "This connects to my world." "It's broken, incomplete," she said. "Then how did you get here?" he asked. Riva looked down. "I didn't use this one," she said. "I escaped through a lab, a human one." John felt his stomach twist. He had always thought aliens came from the sky, but Riva hadn't fallen from space. She had been freed. From Earth, Riva stepped onto the platform. The stones above her started to hum and shift. A new image appeared in the air, a planet with 2 moons. Deep purple skies and tall silver trees. "That's where I'm from," she whispered, "but I barely remember it." John walked closer. The image shimmered like water, but when he touched it, it felt cold like glass. "Why is this under my home?" he asked. Riva placed her hand on his shoulder. "Because your blood is linked to mine," she said. John's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" "Your grandfather made a promise. He was part of the first contact." Riva sat down on the edge of the stone platform. "They didn't just study us," she said. "They made deals, some good, some bad." John remembered the old photo on the basement wall, his grandfather beside the lab men. Now it made sense. "He helped you escape," John said, slowly putting the pieces together. Riva nodded. "And he hid this portal so the others could follow one day, but it's broken," John said. "Can it be fixed?" Riva didn't answer. Instead, she walked over to a small pedestal near the portal and placed the glowing crystal she always carried inside it. The entire cave lit up in pulses, like a heartbeat. Then, from the shadows, they heard footsteps. John turned fast, ready to defend, but what stepped forward was not a soldier. It was a woman, tall, graceful, silver-skinned. With the same glowing eyes as Riva, she wore a cloak made of light. And her voice echoed without sound. "My daughter," she said. Riva froze. The woman stepped forward slowly, tears in her eyes. "I searched for you across stars, across time." John watched as Riva trembled. "Are you my real mother?" she asked. The woman nodded. "I am Saria, queen of our people, and I never stopped looking." John stepped back, giving them space. He felt something strange, both joy and dread. Riva had found her real mother, but it also meant something else. "You didn't come just to take her home, did you?" John asked. Saria turned to him, her expression gentle but unreadable. "No," she said. "I came to ask you something harder. I want to stay here, with both of you." John blinked, surprised. "You? What?" Saria smiled. "My daughter needs both her worlds now, and I must understand the one that raised her." John looked at Riva, who was silently watching them both. Then he looked at the glowing portal behind them. He had opened the door to something much bigger than he ever imagined. And now that door was opening wider. They were no longer alone, and Earth was no longer just Earth. It was becoming something else, something in between 2 worlds. The house was quiet, but not peaceful. 2 moons now floated above the sky, one real, one from the portal below, and inside that small home, 3 lives sat at one table. John, Riva, and the alien queen named Saria. Dinner was strange. John ate silently. Riva poked her food, and Saria just stared at the walls. She didn't eat, but she studied every small thing: the fan, the light switch, even the clock. time here moves differently. She whispered, so slow, yet heavy. John wasn't sure how to act. A week ago, he was alone. Now he had an alien daughter and her glowing royal mother as a house guest. He tried to speak, but his words felt small. Is the food okay? He asked. Riva smiled, but Saria didn't. It's warm, she said. That's rare where I come from. Her voice was calm, but sharp, like it hid 1,000 years of pain. Later that night, Riva went to bed early. She was tired from the day's lessons John had been teaching her to draw maps of Earth. But John stayed awake in the living room. Saria stood by the window, staring at the stars. She doesn't remember you, John said softly. Saria nodded. I know, but she remembers pain and that never lies. John looked at her carefully. You could have taken her back, he said. Why didn't you? Saria turned to him, her silver eyes glowing faintly. Because she doesn't belong to me anymore, she said. Not fully. John walked to the couch and sat down. He felt heavy, confused, even jealous. He had raised Riva, fed her, protected her. Now her real mother wanted to live under the same roof. Saria sat across from him, but didn't blink. I can feel your questions, she said. Ask them. John sighed. Why now? Why come after all this time? Saria's gaze turned toward the basement. The portal woke me, she said. It sent a signal to our side. I followed it, hoping to find a world, but instead I found a homa, small one, yes, but alive. She smiled for the first time, and I found you. John didn't speak. Saria continued. You raised her without fear. You protected her even when you didn't understand her. You became what we could not. Then her voice dropped low. But I also see what you don't want her to know. John's heart jumped. What are you talking about? Saria reached into her cloak and pulled out a small disc. She placed it on the table, and it projected a memory. A lab, cold and full of machines. Raviong, scared, trapped in a glass tube. Men in suits walked around her and one of them. John leaned closer. It was his grandfather. No, John whispered. Saria didn't move. He helped them build the prisons, she said, even if he regretted it later. But blood doesn't forget. John stared at the floor. The truth was sharp. It cut through every good memory he had of his grandfather. He had always believed he came from a simple, kind family. Now, that belief was gone. So what now? John asked bitterly. You blame me? Saria shook her head. No, I trust you, she said. But I need you to understand, if they come back, they won't care about your heart. Only your history. John stood up, his fists clenched. I would never let them take her. Saria stood too, calm but strong. Then we need to prepare, she said. Because they're already coming. Riva came into the room, rubbing her eyes. Are you two fighting? She asked sleepily. John forced a smile. Just talking. Riva looked at her mother. Then at John. I had a dream, she said. The sky was red, and everything was floating. Saria's face darkened. It's not a dream. It's a warning. She turned to John. We need to open the second gate, the one hidden near the mountain. John raised an eyebrow. What gate? Riva answered before Saria could. The one in your dreams. John froze. He had been having dreams, strange ones, of places he had never seen, cold caves, alien symbols. A woman's voice calling him by name. Now he understood. It wasn't just Riva who was chosen. It was him too, connected by blood, by chance, by something older than he could explain. The war that had once touched his grandfather was knocking at his own door again, and this time it was coming for everyone. Asterisk. It started with a buzz, a strange low sound in the ground, like metal grinding against stone. John stood on the porch, the sun barely rising. The birds were gone. The wind had stopped. Then came the flicker. The sky blinked. not like lightning, but like reality was cracking. Riva ran outside, her eyes wide. "They found us," she said, her voice shaking behind her. Saria stepped forward, calm but alert. "The sky is breaking. They're using gate tear tech," she said. John looked at her. "In English, please. They're not coming through space." She said, "They're ripping the air open." John's heart pounded. He had reinforced the house, sealed the basement, blocked the roads with old cars. But he knew it wouldn't be enough. Not for what was coming. Suddenly, the air shimmered above the trees, and they saw them, 3 tall figures in dark armor. Stepping out of nothing, their eyes glowed red, and long weapons grew from their arms like living machines. They didn't speak. They just walked forward. "Riva, inside," John ordered, pulling her back, but she didn't move. Her hands were glowing again, stronger than ever before. "This time I fight," she said. John turned to Saria. "Can she handle them?" "She's stronger than she knows," Saria said, "but not stronger than their leader." As if on cue, a 4th figure appeared. Larger than the others, he wore no helmet. Only dark skin that shimmered like black steel. His eyes were gold. And his voice echoed without sound. "Give her to me, and I'll leave this place untouched," he said. John stepped forward. "Not a chance." The figure smiled coldly. "I remember your grandfather," he said. "He was smarter than you." John clenched his jaw. "And I'm more dangerous than he was." The battle began fast. Riva raised her hands, sending a wave of blue light that pushed 2 soldiers into the trees. Saria floated upward, her cloak spreading into wings of energy. John grabbed the cube from inside and slammed it onto the ground. The ground shook. The basement door blew open, releasing light that rose into the sky. The portal was fully active now, its energy forming a shield around the house. But it was unstable. The lead figure moved like lightning. In 1 second, he was in front of John. He raised his arm, his weapon turned into a blade. Then Riva appeared between them, her body glowing like fire. "You won't touch him," she said. They clashed, light against shadow, power against power. The blast shook trees, shattered windows, and cracked the earth. John tried to reach Riva, but something pulled him back. Saria landed beside him, holding out a crystal. "This was meant for you," she said. John touched it, and the world changed. He saw visions, his grandfather working in secret, building machines with alien help, hiding children, saving some, betraying others. Then he saw himself standing at the center of 2 timelines, one where Earth fell, and one where it became something new. "I don't understand," John gasped. "You are the gatekeeper," Saria said. "Only you can choose what comes next." Riva screamed, her power surging too fast. The sky turned red, the air cracked open wider. The lead soldier was laughing, feeding off the chaos. "You're too late," he shouted. "Your world ends here." John took the crystal and threw it into the heart of the portal. The ground exploded in light. For a moment, everything froze. Then the energy rushed outward, pushing the soldiers back into the tier they came from. One by one, the enemies vanished, pulled into nothingness. Only the gold-eyed leader remained, holding on to the edge of the portal. He stared at John. "This isn't over," he said. And then he was gone. Silence returned. The house was damaged, the sky calm again. Riva fell to her knees, tired. John ran to her and held her tight. "You did it," he whispered. "No," she said. "We did it." Saria stood above them, glowing. Softly, "For now, the war is over," she said, "but the world knows your name now." "John, what do you mean?" he asked. She pointed to the sky where a crack still remained. "Others are watching from far beyond," she said. "And some are not so kind." John looked at Riva. He wasn't just a guardian anymore. He was part of something bigger, something cosmic, and the real test had only just begun. The sky never healed completely, even weeks after the battle. The crack still hung above the trees thin, glowing, watching. John patched the windows, fixed the porch, cleaned the blast marks off the walls, but nothing felt normal. Riva was quieter now. She no longer ran through the house or painted stars on the walls. She sat by the window each day, holding her crystal eyes on the sky. John knew something was coming, but he didn't want to ask. Saria had returned to the underground chamber. She said the portal had changed, grown wider. More signals are coming, she warned. Some lost, some dangerous, but John didn't care about distant galaxies anymore. He cared about home and what he might soon lose one night. Riva walked to him with tears in her glowing eyes. I saw her, she whispered. Who? John asked. My future self. She said, in a dream, or maybe a message. John knelt down, gently taking her hand. What did she say? Riva looked away. She said, the longer I stay here, the more unstable I become. John's chest ached. But you're okay now, he said. Riva nodded. For now, but the crack. It's linked to me, Saria returned that evening, holding a device made of glass and light. This is a stabilizer, she said. If she leaves Earth, the tier will close. John stood up. What if she doesn't want to leave? Riva looked up slowly. I don't want to leave, she whispered, but I have to. John felt the words like a punch to the heart. All those nights reading to her, all those days teaching her words, would they just become memories? Stepped forward. She's not leaving you forever, she said. She will train, grow stronger, and return. John looked at Riva. Her silver eyes were full of fear. I don't want to forget, she said. Promise me, I won't forget. You, John placed her hand on his chest. Then don't forget this feeling. This heartbeat, he said. It's yours. They walked together. One last time, into the basement. The cube was glowing again, but this time it hummed like a lullaby. The portal shimmered with deep purple skies and twin moons. Riva turned back one last time. I love you. Dad, she said. John's throat tightened. He wanted to speak, but no words came. He simply nodded. His eyes wet with pride and pain. Saria nodded to John. We'll keep her safe, she said. And then they stepped into the light. Just like that, they were gone. The portal dimmed. The crack in the sky faded. Earth exhaled. John stood in the quiet, surrounded by the sound of real wind, real life, but the house felt empty. Time passed. John returned to normal life, tried to. He repaired old radios, grew vegetables, and read books no one else would read. But he always kept a plate at the dinner table, just in case. Then, one rainy night, years later, a knock. Not loud, just soft, like a whisper against the wood. John opened the door. Heart pounding, there she stood, taller now, hair longer, still glowing slightly. Her voice older, but still hers. Hey Dad, she said. I came home. John smiled, eyes full of tears. You remembered. She nodded. I never stopped. And somewhere high above, beyond stars and portals and war, the sky blinked once more, not as a threat, but as a signal. The story wasn't ending. It was just beginning again.